SoundCloud.com/chaotic flame. We're here to review Black Mirror, Season 6, Episode 3, Beyond the Sea. We're going to start this off right now, nice and easy. It's my first time doing this. I don't know how long it's going to last. I got a couple notes. I'm probably the biggest Black Mirror fan that I know, so I'm going to take my time with it. Let's get right into it. Of course, this is produced by yours truly, Chaotic Flame. It's called Nightmare. All right. So, as everyone knows, I'm a big advocate, big fan of Black Mirror. I've been talking about doing this for a long time. I'm going to just let it flow. We're going to be reviewing Beyond the Sea. And this is going to have heavy spoilers. So if you never saw the episode, save this video to a playlist, come back to it later, because this is going to have heavy spoilers. I'm going to offer my opinions, breakdowns, insights, lore, however I see fit. So, got a couple banners ready to kind of guide me through this. I don't know how long this is going to be, but let's get right into it. So let's talk about the introduction to the characters and the plot. So in the beginning, well, first off, I'm going to give you a little insight into what this episode is about. So this episode takes place in 1969 and what they call a perilous high-tech space mission. The two pilots' names are Cliff and David. In the beginning, you start off by seeing two different families, two different men, and there's various differences in these men. David, when you first see him, he's drawing a picture of his son and his daughter sitting next to each other. It's his son's birthday. They head out to the movies. He puts music on. He dances with his wife very intimately, right? That is what the author was trying to portray in the beginning. Then you see Cliff. He lives in more of like a rural farm kind of area. He's more occupied and busy, but he's never like doing something unimportant. He seems to be preoccupied with working around the house or doing random things, as opposed to David, who's more family orientated, right? So that's how it starts off. It's like they're painting a narrative of these are two totally different men. So when we start to get into the Black Mirror-esque features of the episode, both of these characters, they go throughout their day and then they get a buzz on a watch. After they get that buzz, they say, I have to go. So then you get kind of a split scene of both of them walking into their respective houses into a back room. They sit in a chair. You see them plug in a code, and then they go into rest. When they wake up, they're on a spaceship. Just two people on this spaceship. I found that very weird in the beginning. There's two men on a spaceship. We see both of these men wake up, and then we realize that, okay, these guys are working with each other, right? They're working together on some sort of space mission. And the only information we have is that there's 4 years left in whatever mission they're on, and they've been there for 2 years. So that was the introduction. So these guys are sleeping in space in the sky, but have some sort of replica roaming the earth. So that is the beginning, the introduction to the characters and the plot and the theme of what's happening here. So I'm gonna switch to my next banner to help guide me through this. We're gonna hide that one, pop this one up. Right. So so now we're gonna talk about the initial conflict and the plot twist. So now we know that these guys are replicas. So David, after he returns, David is at his house. They come back down the ship. They go to sleep again. Now they're back on Earth. David is walking into his house, and his wife notices a van parked out front with a towel covering the windshield. Nobody really knows what's going on there. Long story short, in the middle of the night, David's replica is awakened, right? And there's this cult in his house. This cult takes advantage of him, ties him up, cuts his arm off, and says, "You don't even bleed right," showing that he's not human. Proceeds to knock him out. He wakes back up in the spaceship. He immediately plugs his link back in, gets back down there, and he's hogtied, and he has to witness his family being slaughtered. That is the initial conflict and plot twist. When Cliff gets a phone call in the morning about this, he returns to the ship. David don't want nothing to do with him, right? Boom. So now we're gonna go to the pre-mid conflict. So David is obviously depressed. Cliff is worried. Cliff feels like he can't even finish this mission with this guy, and the mission is obviously paramount to anything else that's happening in this episode. Cliff is discussing this with his wife. His wife is privy to the information that David's whole family was slaughtered and that his replica was destroyed. So he can't even come back down to Earth. He's stuck up there. Cliff says, even if he could come back down to Earth, what does he have left here? That's what he says. What does he even have left here? Right. And that's a true statement, or you know what I'm saying? Like, what does he have? He had to watch his whole family get slaughtered. So Cliff's wife comes up. Now, this is where we start getting into Black Mirror, right? Cliff's wife suggests that Cliff let David use his link. Bruh, he starts using the link. And all right, he uses the link the first time he comes back down to Earth, but when he uses Cliff's link, he's in Cliff's body. So David comes back down to Earth through Cliff's link, and his physical image on Earth is through Cliff's replica, right? So now he's in this replica. So already Black Mirror has already almost geniusly written its way into you looking at a character and already thinking it's two different people. So now when the scenes are switching, you kind of thrown off like, all right, I see it's Cliff, but is it really Cliff, or is it David and Cliff's link operating as Cliff on Earth? Like, it's crazy like that. So let's get into, the problems that we could all foresee. So David uses the link once. He gets out, shakes his hand. Thank you. He's very, very appreciative that he got to use the link. Cliff uses his link, goes, checks on his wife. His wife said everything was all right. Says that he cried. Cliff says, all right, what did you do when David cried? She said, nothing. That's a lie. She was hugging him, consoling him when he cried, all right? So when they're both on the ship, David approaches Cliff and says, yo, this is a picture of your house that I drew when I was down there. If you guys get me some paint and some things, I'll paint it for you guys down there, but I would have to borrow your link again. So David is already put himself in a position to where he's guaranteed to use this link of Cliff's, right? Damn near as frequently as he can, maybe once a week. He's using this link, going down there, and he's painting the house. Mind you, Cliff's son is not privy to this information, but starts to catch on. So he's painting this picture, and I got to skip forward a little bit because this is just a review. This isn't everything that happened. So he's painting this picture. He adds Cliff's wife to the picture and starts to make advances on his wife. As he starts to make advances on his wife becomes very uncomfortable with what's happening. When she becomes uncomfortable, she tries to tell Cliff, look, I don't want him using your link. He's already hit our son. You should not be doing this. Cliff's like, nah, it's not a big deal, whatever. David uses the link yet again, right? He uses the link yet again and tries to make further advances, right? While Cliff is on the spaceship, he goes into David's room, and David, allegedly the guy who could only paint and draw from memory, right? He can only paint and draw from memory, has naked compositions of Cliff's wife. Cliff sees this and causes a false emergency. David comes back, you know what I'm saying? And they get into it. They throw a couple punches, whatever, boom, boom, boom. They kind of piece it up a little bit, but now there's tension on this ship. David says, can I just use your link? I know I'm skipping around a lot because this isn't a breakdown of every single thing that happened. It's just my feelings and opinions on it. David wants to use the link one more time. Cliff says, your visits offend my wife. We don't want you utilizing this link anymore. You ruined it. You overstepped your boundaries, and that's it. You'll never see her ever again. This is where we get into the only part of this joint that really matters. The ending. Bruh. This is Black Mirror in its finest. Upon hearing this information, David decides to call a false alert to get Cliff to come back to the ship. Once Cliff comes back to the ship, he has to go back outside and fix some equipment on the exterior part of the ship. At this point of the episode, I'm pretty sure a majority of us were thinking he's never going to let him back in. He's going to lock the door. He's going to assume the role of his link, right? And he's going to be locked outside. That's not what happened. It's Black Mirror. That would be way too easy. It would be too easy. While Cliff is outside fixing that hardware, he notices there is nothing wrong with the hardware whatsoever. There is nothing wrong with the hardware. It starts to click in his head. Oh shit, this guy must be using my link. I got to get back there. So he tries to get back into the ship and he doesn't get an answer from David. David doesn't answer it. It's almost like this was an ending scene. It zooms out. You see him stuck in space. Then the light turns green. David opens up the door. Cliff comes in and says, "Where were you?" David says, "The bathroom. I was in the bathroom," right? Cliff says, "Really, the bathroom? I got to call McKenzie," right? I got to call McKenzie because these false alerts are ridiculous. So as he's taking off his astronaut suit and retrieving his possessions from David, he's like, "Yo, Dave, where's my link? Because before you go outside the ship, you got to hand in all your stuff. You can't have no stuff out there, allegedly," right? The look on David's face was just so bleak and grim, just the most grimmest look you ever seen the entire episode. He's just grim. Pulls the link out of his pocket, hands it to him. Cliff says, "What did you do?" He runs to his link, uses it. As soon as he goes home, he is awakened with blood on his hands. He goes into his living room. And the ending scene is a puddle of blood. Well, not the ending scene. The ending scene of in his house is a puddle of blood and Cliff crying on the floor, blood on his hands, even though he didn't do it, right? Man, he goes back up to the ship, and the look on his face between both of these guys was so crazy. David chair kicks it, Cliff is crying, and then it just cuts off right there. Now, that ending was crazy to me. I didn't expect that to happen. I thought he would be left out the ship. So my overall thoughts and takeaways on this episode, if I had to rate it, I'm giving this one an 8 to an 8.5 out of 10. As far as Black Mirror episodes, this one knocked it out the park for me. I skipped around a lot, and there's a lot of things I left out because I don't want to just blow the episode. I know it's a spoiler alert, but somebody's still going to click on this that hasn't seen it. My overall opinion on this, my takeaways from this were, all right, how much of your life are you willing to give to a friend just to complete the objective? My questions on this episode is, where was the military support, or where was the Space Command support? Another thing I'm trying to figure out, number 3, what was this mission about? What was the mission, right? It's only described as a perilous high-tech mission in 1969. There were no details given. One of the best Black Mirror episodes I ever saw, right? And I'm going to end this off right here, real short, real easy. Just wanted to get this out there, something on my spirit. If you guys have any Black Mirror episodes that you would prefer for me to review or break down or give my opinion on, let me know. I'm going to do another series with my guy Lamar where we break down how these episodes correlate to real life events. And yeah, Black Mirror season 6, episode 3, Beyond the Sea. I'm gonna be doing this for every single Black Mirror episode that's ever came out, and I'll do it in order as they're requested, or I'll do it as I see fit. Black Mirror season 6 overall review will also be released when I finish reviewing every single individual episode. Next time I shoot this, it'll be a little more structured. We got a comment. Mike Morgan, I can't watch this. I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, definitely don't watch this. Heavy spoiler alert. But yeah, one of the best Black Mirror episodes there are. It's pretty slow, starts slow. It kind of fits in that 15 million merits, USS Callister kind of level of Black Mirror frequency. Is very good. That ending was crazy. And if you guys have seen it, drop something on me in the comments. Let me know how you felt about it. And I'll catch you guys next time. Short and easy. We're going to start reviewing every single Black Mirror episode as I see fit or as you guys request. Appreciate you guys. SoundCloud.com/chaotic flame. Nothing left to do but win. We out.